Welcome to the DFS Build NBA Edition. I am Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith. Get ready to go over the three-game main slate at DraftKings. A little bit of nice change of pace after just two games yesterday. Goal here is to help you win money. If we do help you at all in this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Both those things help us out quite a bit. You can get even more picks and advice if you hit up our Patreon, just $5.99 a month to get our NBA core plays, as well as our MLB DFS picks and stacks, as well as anything else that we cover, plus access to our Discord. So be sure to hit that link at the bottom of the video here or on our YouTube channel. All right, let's get into it. We go position by position, highlighting the best plays of the slate. Luka Doncic leading the way, 55-point fantasy projection, only 20% owned. Let's just start there. Do you want to pay 10.8K for Luka tonight?
I do indeed.
Indeed.
I think like the other day, Luka was on the same slate as Jokic and Giannis, so it was kind of like hard to prioritize him. Didn't really get to him a lot, which turned out to be good, of course. But I think today, different slate. I still think Giannis is a great play. There are other point guards, obviously, that look better than Luka in terms of point per dollar value. I'm getting more Halliburton, for example, but I still want Luka quite a bit. I have him in my early run in around 30% of lineups, which is, let's see, a little bit over the field. So I like it a lot. He's a little underpriced. It's the playoffs. The minute should be there. LeBron seems content on taking a back seat for now. I don't know how long that'll last, but, you know, I'm pretty in on Luka tonight.
Yeah, same. I think a big part of that is the fact that Giannis is the chalky stud of the slate. I will say that I do prefer, at least aesthetically, like I like the balance build because there's a lot of good value here. Like namely, Memphis is super cheap. The Pacers guys really pop. You have Dame coming back with like that revenge narrative here. So there's a lot to like, but if you're gonna pay up, like Giannis and Luka do both look good, and Giannis is right now double the ownership of Luka, and the price. You're saving $500, and you're not really losing that much in terms of ceiling. The other thing is Luka had one assist in game one. Like nobody was knocking down any shots for him. And if those assists would have been higher, he would have been pushing for a triple double because he had 37 real points and 8 rebounds. So I love Luka. I'm with you. I prefer him to Giannis on the slate. Not that Giannis is a bad play, but just everything you factor in, I think he looks good. That said, $500 cheaper SGA, 52 fantasy point projection, a little bit less owned. Like he looks pretty good too. It's just out of 3 games, that's the ugliest one as far as 14-point spread, and they beat Memphis by 50 in game 1.
Yeah, I'm getting more Luka. It's just kind of tough to prioritize SGA whenever you have Luka right there. Like I know that SGA kind of has, he doesn't have the team to himself, but he does more than Luka in a way. Like he leads the team in usage by a lot. Luka still has to contend with LeBron and Reeves, but still getting more Luka. I just think his ability to stuff the stat sheet's a little more prolific. SGA is pretty reliant on scoring. So fine play. I won't fade him completely, but he pales in comparison in terms of priority to guys like Halliburton and Luka for me.
Yes, I think there's an argument to be made to just go a little bit over the field on Luka and SGA, but I also prefer Luka here. Halliburton does look really good. I don't like that he's super chalky, and he wasn't really good in game 1. But with Dame back, like Milwaukee's defense up front is even less imposing. And he just historically kind of wrecks the Bucks. It's just like he has a strong narrative backing him too. Plus, he's super cheap, 8.2K, third best projection of the point guard position. I mean, outside of ownership, what's there bad to say about Tyrese Halliburton today?
Nothing. It's a great matchup. This game is the most attractive, I think, on the slate in terms of spread and total. So I love everything about it. Like the ownership is what it is, but it's NBA. Eating chalk is not a bad thing. He's chalk for a reason. I think it's good chalk, 8,200, just underpriced. Even at 91 on FanDuel, like he's a good play over there. He got a higher salary cap and all that. Mm-hmm. It'd be nice if he had shooting guard like he does on FanDuel, but I guess we can't have everything. So still the top overall play at the position though, and I'll have him a ton.
Yeah, if I had to pick one point guard to tell you to play, it would be Halliburton, hands down. He looks great. Not really that concerned about the ownership aspect. I just think he's way, way too cheap. Anthony Edwards, 8.7K, $500 more, just a slightly lower projection and half the ownership. I think he's interesting. Obviously, he is definitely getting up to face LeBron and Luka. I don't have a problem with Ant at all. I would obviously use him at shooting guard instead, but as a pivot off of chalky Halliburton, I think that's totally in play. And he is also too cheap compared to where he was during most of the year. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I want to like him. He is underpriced for who he is, but he's another guy who's like generally kind of scoring dependent. The Lakers are not a terrible defense, which is kind of surprising. I did not think they were going to be good after the Luka trade defensively, but they've been solid. I'm getting more Halliburton. I'm getting more Ja Morant, who is under 8K on DraftKings, despite the risk of Memphis getting their pants blown off again. But he's underpriced. Like, I think Ant's a good play. You can play him at shooting guard, which is helpful, but I kind of like spending at point guard and then saving at these shooting guard small forward spots.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the shooting guard in a second. There's a big gap there up top. I mean, I think like if you're gonna play LeBron or Luka, I do think running it back with Ant is appealing. Like at this ownership right now, it's fairly low for a 3-game slate. So definitely interested in tournaments. Is he the best play here? If you're looking at cash games or single entry, not really. I like Halliburton's better play than him. I like the Ja call. Similar ownership. The projection isn't that far off. You're saving $900 in salary. So Ja looks good. The only issue there is definite blowout risk, like 50-point loss in game 1. That is definitely a clear picture of how bad it can get. All the Grizzlies look good too. You have Bane here at 7.2. What are your thoughts on Bane, even though the projection isn't really standing out?
Not getting a ton as of now. I just think the price is close enough to where Morant looks better than Bane at this point. Still okay with it. Like, I'd play me, but not a guy I'm really getting to a lot. I think I prefer Reeves 600. This is like we talked about yesterday. Like, everyone's kind of discounted on this slate,
Right.
so saying that everyone is discounted is kind of pointless. But 68 is low for Reeves. Didn't do much in game 1. The Lakers as a whole just kind of sucked in that one. I imagine they will be more focused and motivated tonight now that they kind of got a little reality check there. So I do prefer Bane to Reeves in that range. I mean, Reeves to Bane, my bad.
Yeah, I was going to say same here. I think the big thing with everybody being discounted is you just don't have to buy into like, oh man, he's too cheap. I have to play him because he's too cheap. Like with everybody, right? Like yesterday for me, Jalen Duren at 6-1, that was way too cheap. Like I really felt I had to play Duren, and that worked out. Cade Cunningham was what, 9-1? That was way too cheap. I felt like I had to play Cade, and he smashed. So like if you're looking at this slate, who stands out as like just absurdly cheap? There's 2 guys for me at guard. It's Halliburton and it's Reeves. Like, I know Reeves is 3rd in the pecking order with the Lakers, but he still gets good usage. And if they're going to come back here against the Wolves, Austin Reeves is going to have to step up. And just really, he's usually like 7'8", 8'5", 6'8" is just way too cheap for him. So I prefer him over Ja and Bane. And I feel like his projection's a little bit light. I think he's going to smash that. The nice thing, though, at point guard, you do not have, you do have like a ton of options to consider. So I don't think you can go terribly wrong. Down here at value, though, you also have even more. So Andrew Nembhard, 4.7, Scottie Pippen, 5.1, DiVincenzo and Conley, even Alex Caruso. Who are you liking the most as far as the value down low?
Pretty much all those guys except for Mike Conley. Just don't really see a need to play Mike Conley ever, really. But
well, hey, he is getting minutes that could be leverage on the chalky DiVincenzo. I mean, I don't love it either, but it could be.
But I don't think Conley is going to be unowned himself. So like, I just don't really see the need. Like, DiVincenzo played more minutes in game 1. I think his style fits better with what the Wolves are running out there in general. Like, they don't need Conley out there to handle the ball when Edwards is doing it anyway, and Randall does it to an extent. So I think DiVincenzo there spacing the floor. I'm just getting a lot more of him. I just think he's a better play. He's got a higher ceiling. I think his floor is higher. So Mike Conley can fuck off. I think Nembhard is cheap at too cheap at 4.7. I feel like his projected ownership is probably too low. I could see him coming in closer to like 40 or 50%. But he plays a big role. He's a good player, decent per minute guy. I don't mind buying low on that while he's still underpriced. And then Caruso is okay. He only played 11 minutes because of the blowout in the first game. But if he's chalky, that's not really something I want to do. Like, he's not going to get a lot of usage. He's only projected for 20 minutes. So seems shaky to me if he's extreme chalk. I think you could do something else, but he is okay on a point per dollar basis, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm not personally. Alex Caruso feels a lot like DJJ to me yesterday. Yeah, and like KCP. a few slates ago to where like, he looks fine relative to the slate and his price. But I think that's chalk that I'm going to go away from. I think I'm only really just mentioning Conley because he's going to get 20 to 25 minutes. He's the same price as DiVincenzo, and he's a third of the ownership right now. So I think it's an interesting leverage play. I agree, though, in a vacuum, DiVincenzo's the play 100%. I do think Scottie Pippen's a little – go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think if I'm going to play like a cheap point guard like Conley or Alex Caruso, I would just try McConnell instead. I don't think I'd play him with Halliburton, but a good per minute guy who's going to play 20-ish minutes off the bench. Like, I'd rather have that than 20-ish minutes of Mike Conley or Alex Caruso. I just don't see the need, especially if those guys are more popular.
Yeah, like I said, if I'm going down low, DiVincenzo's the first guy I'm looking at. I will say, though, that Pippen is a little bit interesting as leverage on somebody like Nembhard and DiVincenzo. He's going to go completely overlooked because of that game, just one game, and everybody's going to overreact. As long as he's starting 5-1 is still a decent price, even though the matchup sucks. That's just if you're rolling out a lot of lineups and you want to get different and go a little bit over on Pippen's ownership. But Nembhard and DiVincenzo, to me, are the two best low-priced point guards on the slate for sure. Before we move on to shooting guard, we really kind of blipped over it. I think it's because the dude had fucking blood clot in his leg. But Dame is back. It looks like he's going to play 8K flat for Dame. The minutes projection's light. That probably makes sense. Deep vein thrombosis is no joke. But they wouldn't clear him to play if he wasn't ready to play a significant amount of minutes, I wouldn't think. How are you feeling about Dame? Do you have any interest in being over on him? I think his ownership is at like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he was questionable with conditioning, so I assume he's conditioned enough to play 30-plus minutes. So
Right.
At 8K, you can say he's under sure. I would have interest. I just think Halliburton is the better play, but if it's like 50% ownership to 1, I don't think Dame will be 1% owned. I could see it more like 10 to 20, but still a gulf. So I think that's a fine case for Dame. Like, he can certainly outscore Halliburton.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just comparing them, you have to pick one. It is Hallie for sure. And like I said, I do like Austin Reeves, and Ja stands out. But if Dame is going to go completely overlooked on the slate, I do want more of Dame than the field is, projecting. All right, at shooting guard, Ant is there. I do like Ant for GPP, 21%. It's not too bad. Bane's okay. I don't really want to get to Bane. If I'm going to go down below Ant, it would be to Reeves first. This does feel like a value position, like you're kind of alluding to. I don't have a problem with that because I do like Nembhard. I do like DiVincenzo. You can even talk about guys like Neesmith, Mathurin, Dort. There's the Caruso thing. I would prefer Dort over Caruso. I think obviously the thing with Caruso is just he's almost the min price. So if you want to just punt a guy and hope he gets 20 and then you go get like more studs, you can do that. I don't really think that strategy, like a stars and scrubs thing, is super necessary. 3-game slate, and there's just like all these other guys are so cheap anyways. But where are you standing there?
Yeah, I like Neesmith again. I didn't do anything in game 1. He was my highest owned player, which is quite annoying. He got benched for Mathurin like late in the first half and never really found it. But I think going back to the well with him is fine. I do think Mathurin's a perfectly fine alternative off the bench. He's only 4,400. He will shoot while he's out there, so he does have a ceiling. I like that quite a bit. I agree on Dort over Caruso. Just, Dort's going to get 30-plus minutes if the game is relatively close, and Caruso is probably not. And, I don't have a lot of faith in Dort either. Like, all these secondary Thunder guys, Case and Wallace, they're not fun plays, but they're viable just because they have roles. If Dort's knocking down his shots, he can certainly pay off 4,300. I just prefer the Indiana guys to the OKC guys in terms of value. And then DiVincenzo I prefer as well. I think Alexander Walker is viable at 3.9 minutes. He only played 20 in game 1, but he's still cheap. They're going to use his shooting. They're going to need his defense and stuff. So I don't mind taking a shot on him. And then I'm getting a little bit of Conchar, but I would prefer to not ever fucking do that.
Okay, so I think an interesting thing, by the way, is like something we talked about is, and Caruso and Conchar fit right into this, is like, if you don't have to play ultra thin guys, don't do it. Like we talked about Tim Hardaway Jr. yesterday, where like, yeah, it was a 2-game slate, so technically he's in play. and he has a role and he's going to get minutes, but we're also like, no, don't play Tim Hardaway Jr. He got 1.7 fantasy points. So like the floor with some of these guys is remarkably low. Yes, anybody can go off. Like you said, like Neesmith and Nembhard look like the plays, and then Mathurin came in and ate into Neesmith's minutes. That can happen. Guys can get hot. Like, Bobby Portis can come off the bench tonight, drop 30 real points. That can happen. But like, do you have to play these other dudes just because of salary? No, you absolutely don't. So I just definitely want to reiterate to like lean into the good player / good play, and not just because of price, because you want to stack in Giannis and Luka and SGA. All right, over to small forward, unless you have any other shooting guard value. There is other value at shooting guard. It's just nothing I feel particularly great about.
Yeah, like I think Gary Trent kind of falls by the wayside with Dame back, so not really for me.
Yeah, that goes in the same vein as like Tim Hardaway Jr. The minutes are less reliable as THJs technically are, but just like any of these guys can pop off. Like you can, if you're rolling out 150 lineups or something, yeah, get some exposure to Gary Trent or Isaiah, or maybe not Isaiah Joe, but Kason Wallace. These guys could erupt. You never know. They're just not going to be priorities. All right, a small forward, LeBron James. Like, hey, if LeBron James was just using game one as a fill out game, and now he's coming to play in game two, I think you could make a case he's pretty interesting at 9.3. Problem is he hasn't been very good for like a while now, basically ever since returning from injury, just a lot of meh. Like he could certainly turn it on. Maybe he's just been waiting and like letting Luka, get acclimated and whatever. So in theory, a low-owned LeBron James to close out the night, I think that's kind of interesting. 9.3 at less than 20% ownership. So I would go over that for sure. As a standalone play, do I feel great about LeBron? Not really. Where are you at?
I'm not really into it. Like, I understand it's LeBron and he can completely nuke the slate, but he hasn't been good for a while, like you said. There's a chance he's still dealing with something. As far as an injury goes, I'm just getting to Luka, I'm getting to Reeves, and as a result, I'm not really getting to LeBron. It's just kind of the way the slate comes together. I think saving money with J-Dub makes a lot of sense. He's 1,100 cheaper than LeBron. He's got, maybe not as high a ceiling as James, but like in terms of median projection, they're probably about the same. And you're getting a considerable discount with Williams. So I think I would just prefer to do that if I'm paying up.
Yeah, at this low ownership, I will go a little bit over, but I agree. I think J. Will is the way better value. They compare, like, he's 1.2K cheaper, but the projection, the projection, the ownership, everything is kind of the same. So he just feels like the better play. And then also the other thing is like all the really good, seemingly reliable value is at forward tonight. You have like minutes wise Kuzma, you have Rui with minutes, you have Mathurin's okay, Dort's okay, you have Jaden McDaniels at 4.9, Naz Reid at power forward. So like this is really honestly the position to save, and you can certainly argue that with J-Dub at 8.1. To a degree, but I don't mind going with LeBron to get over a low percentage, but overall I find myself saving and beating that high 4K range.
Yeah, McDaniels, Neesmith, we talked about. Mathurin, we talked about. Kuzma, I think, is okay, but the dude was full on Tony Snell in game one, so
sure was.
Dame is back. Like it's tough for him. He's cheap, but Portis is also there, so like the minutes might not even be safe. I don't know. I'm not really getting to Kuz, and I feel comfortable with it. I'd rather play Rui if I'm playing a shaky, shooting reliant power forward in that range. McDaniels I have as a core play. Just he's cheap. He's going to get the minutes. Not expecting him to nuke the way he did in game one, but the possibility is there. They're going to need his defense and stuff. So
he doesn't really need to at 4.9 though. You'd expect him to be closer to 6.
Yeah, so that's a good discount you're getting. So I'm just going to eat that chalk, I think.
Yeah, I'm eating the Jaden chalk. It's not even that chalky either. For a 3-game slate, only 30% for that. The price is kind of crazy to me. And Rui, like, it's just a minutes play, man. It's just, like Christian Brown didn't work out yesterday, but minutes wise, like that was a good play. And same thing with Rui. If they're gonna win, I would imagine he chips in as a scorer here too. I don't actually mind Kuz. Like I'm with you on like I'm not afraid of fading Kuz because he's not going to be owned or anything anyways. But like I think Dame coming back actually helps Kuz a lot because suddenly he's definitely third at most in the pecking order. So like no pressure, he can just hit open shots and be a little bit more free. Kuz as like the number 2 offensive player just isn't a thing that should exist in the world. So I like it for him. So I think he's a little bit interesting. I actually would go over on that ownership. Personally, if I'm rolling out a lot of lineups. Anybody else that stands out to you? You got Aaron Wiggins who went off in the first game. 4.5K feels a little bit steep there, though.
That was blowout, I think. I don't trust his minutes if the game's going to blow out.
Exactly. So 4.5 for him in this setting. I don't love it. I would rather go Dort at 4.3, which isn't something I like to say. And then a lot of the same guys we already talked about. They're all very risky, but they're all in play. Even like Naw at 3.9, like he's in play. I think I would rather go to somebody like him on a 2-gamer though. Like on a 3-gamer, I just don't feel like we have to stretch ourselves so thin, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so over at power forward, Giannis leads the way. Like I have nothing bad to say about Giannis. The Pacers are terrible inside. He can rebound at will, score at will. He's going to be motivated to win in game 2. There's major revenge narratives for him and Dame. Dame could still be limited, so Giannis is going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. He has the best projection of the slate too. So like nothing bad to say about him except that he'll be owned and that he isn't cheap. I just think if he's going to be chalky and pushing 40%, in like every contest, I think just leveraging and going with Luka, who's going to be maybe half his owned, I just think that's the way to go. But if you want to play Giannis or pair them even, I have no problem with it. He's probably going to smash.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best possible matchups for Giannis. He was one of my favorite plays going into game 1. So, I mean, obviously it's the same spot. Dame being back lowers his usage, but not too concerned about it. It's still arguably a discount on Giannis anyway. That we're getting 11-3, so more expensive than Luka. I'm getting them in about the same percentage of lineups, though. Not a huge lean one over the other, but there is a lot of good value at power forward as well.
Yeah, we already talked about J-Dub. Siakam is a guy that looks good on paper here. I'm actually not going to do the Siakam thing.
6,900 is very cheap.
It is very cheap. It's a good spot. He was good in game 1, but as we've said countless times, what does Siakam not really offer? Ceiling. So I don't know, like 6'9" in any setting, no matter what contest you're playing, like that price is not out of control to the point where you even really need to care about ceiling that much. You could just lock in Siakam and just move along, but he's coming at 56% ownership. So if Siakam, who we know can have a low floor, and we know the Bucks are going to be motivated here, like I would not be shocked at all if the Bucks just came out and just steamrolled the Pacers to even the series. I'm scared of that ownership. So while I will get to Siakam a little bit, and I will acknowledge he is a good play and he projects well, I think that's egregious ownership, and I'm going to go away, and we'll talk about pivots in a little bit. But first, give your thoughts on him.
Yeah, like I never feel great about Siakam, but he is underpriced. I don't think Milwaukee is very good. I just think Indiana's the better team straight up. So I'd be surprised if Milwaukee steamrolled anyone. I think they're fully cooked.
Steamroll, and it's coming, baby.
He's just underpriced. I think it's okay, but Chet's 7K. Like you can just pivot to Chet straight line essentially and get a very similar play. I don't know if he has much of a ceiling either, considering all the usage that goes elsewhere in that offense, but he's a good per minute guy as well, better than Siakam. I suppose there's blowout concern as well, but that's a very easy pivot to make right there.
Well, game 1 would indicate he has quite the ceiling, 43 fantasy points in 21 minutes. We know Chet does have a ceiling. I think the way I'd frame it is he's inconsistent as hell. Like you're not going to see that ceiling on a regular basis. But the reality is Siakam's ceiling is not super high, and I'm not buying Siakam at that ownership. Like I'll eat chalky Halliburton. I'm not going to eat chalky Siakam. He needs to pop as a scorer to get there, and that is not a guarantee. The other thing is it's not just that. There's options. You can pivot to almost a direct pivot. Like you said, Chet, there's Julius Randle, there's JJJ, and then there's cheaper guys below him. There's J-Dub just $1,000 above him. And then down low, we have McDaniels, Nas, Rui, Santi, Kuz, Bobby. Like, you don't have to play Siakam on this slate, in my opinion. Like you said, too, if everybody's discounted, fading one guy who everybody is playing might actually be a good idea. Still just going to say, like, in a vacuum, great play, but the ownership has me going away from him.
Yeah, I think the pivots are better for Siakam than they are for Halliburton anyway. Like,
right, yep.
You have Dame and you have Ja, but I feel fairly confident in Halliburton being the best of that bunch. I don't think the ownership reflects the lack of clarity between the difference between like Siakam and Randall and guys like that. I think Jackson's a pretty clear fourth in that group for me, but sure, it does have upside if if the scoring is there, if they don't get their doors blown off again. But there's a lot to like. I think Nas Reed is a really interesting value, 5,400. Played more than Gobert in game 1. The Lakers will go small. Like if they bench Jackson Hayes, they do this like LeBron at center lineup. Minnesota can match that if they bench Rudy and just give Nas the minutes. So he's cheap. He's going to be somewhat popular, I think. But
so far not, but I would agree he should
yeah,
be.
I just feel like he was going to come in over that. But either way, he's too
Should.
cheap for the ceiling he has.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, JJJ is certainly fourth in the pecking order in those Siakam pivots, but I just think there's a lot of ways to go there. That said, power forward, honestly, top to bottom, pretty fucking loaded, man. Like you can make a case for basically everyone here, and I wouldn't really fight you too hard, except for Siakam, apparently. All right, at center, you can slide Giannis and a lot of these other guys there. Miles Turner is one of your favorite guys, cheap at 6.1. He is honestly pretty good Siakam leverage as well. You already are interested in playing Halliburton and some of these other Pacers guards. Miles Turner is pretty good Siakam leverage, if you ask me. He looks great at 6'1". Do not have a problem with that at all. Like Rudy Gobert, also really cheap at 6'4". If we go into the slate knowing, oh, Gobert's going to play 35 minutes, he's way too cheap. But if we go in thinking and worrying about the Lakers going small, then suddenly Gobert becomes a little bit of a liability at that price, especially if he's going to be owned. And right now he is picking up 25% ownership. So for those reasons, I think Miles looks like a more appealing play in that price range, or I'm just going to go do something different, like drop down to Nas or pay up with Chet or Giannis there.
Yeah, I don't think Turner's minutes are really at risk. Like they're not going to bench him to play Thomas Bryant or anything. I don't think.
No.
They can't really throw Obi Toppin in there with Giannis and Lopez on the other side. So I feel confident about Turner. Don't feel as confident about Gobert. I think on FanDuel he's an easier guy to get to at 5'9", but there's obvious risk. Like if he just doesn't get the minutes, then he's not going to be a good play. So it's hard to see how it's going to play out. I just prefer Turner for that reason. I kind of glossed over like Portis, but he was horrible in game one. He's 5,200. He's going to have a role. It's kind of depending on how he's going to shoot. He didn't shoot well at all in game one. Still rebounded a little bit. If people are going to be afraid to go back to the well, I don't mind going back to the well with him. ED, same story. Like I could see the Grizzlies kind of de-emphasizing him, not entirely based on what happened in game one, but if they're going to change anything, I feel like the first thing they would do is kind of give him less minutes than he's been playing lately. So I'd be a little bit nervous to go back to Edie. I just think Turner's a better play.
I will say when you watch Edie, he's just quite the lumbering oaf. Like he doesn't really, like he helps your rebounding. That's kind of it. He's not that good. Really,
he's pretty skilled, but it's not like you're going to dump into the post when you have
he's
Morant
not like
and Bane and Jaren Jackson on your team.
He's not very explosive. Like if you have some bigs to throw at him, like he's not just going to dominate them every time. It's I don't know. When I was watching Edie, I was like, oh, not that impressed with Edie. But that said, Edie is only 6K. You can certainly entertain that. I'm with you on the Bobby thing. Anytime people are off of a guy because of a bad shooting performance, that's a good time to get on them when they can get hot. Like Bobby can get hot really quickly. Only issue is he is pulling some ownership at 24%. Still think he's a solid play. If that's where the ownership stays, it's Nas over Bobby for me, like very easily. Like that's not even a question in my opinion. And I'll just mention Santi, even Dorian Finney-Smith, just because he played 32 minutes. Like if he's going to get the minutes when they go small, I think that's okay. At 4K, you can do that, especially since you can use him at forward. All right, that does it for the position by position breakdown. Why don't we wrap things up with our flag plant and general strategy?
Well, hopefully it goes better than yesterday's Karl Anthony Towns flag plant. That was not a good call. I think I'll go with Turner just for the reasons I mentioned. Like he's cheap, center's not great on this slate. You're kind of paying into the mid-range unless you're playing Giannis there. I just think he's a very good play. He's thrived in this matchup over the last couple of years against Lopez. So 6,100 is too cheap. I like Miles Turner.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Miles Turner at all. I think mine is going to be twofold. Number one, it's going to be Luka over Giannis. I think Giannis is a great play, but I want to gain leverage on the field in a way that I'm not really sacrificing anything to do that. I actually save $500 to do that, and I don't think I'm giving up a ceiling. Like Luka can definitely get me 80 fantasy points if he pops off. You know, obviously Giannis can too. So I think that is one way to do it. And another way that I feel pretty good about is going extremely underweight on Siakam. I think Siakam also is a very good play, certainly a more palatable play, easier to get to than Giannis is, and you're not going to mess up your lineup at all by playing Siakam. But I just feel like, number one, there's a ton of value at forward, and also there are clear pivots away from Siakam that also look good and offer a ceiling. All right, that is going to do it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Both those things help us out quite a bit. And when you subscribe to the channel, you get alerted to future videos we do, whether it be NBA, MLB, which we're going to do an MLB video later today. So you want to catch that as well. Another way to get a little extra help is to join our Patreon, just $5.99 a month to get access to all of our picks, advice, and our Discord. All right, thanks for watching and good luck.